my sweet peas, welcome back. My name is Cornelia, but you can call me Corny, and today I wanted to kind of share fun facts and behind the scenes information about Love is Blind Japan. This show was a great social experiment to show and study the behaviours of Japanese people and the cultural differences. Let's start with casting. A lot of this information was grabbed off from different sources, but the main sources you can find on Reddit. I remember asking you guys and asking myself whether the producers and directors had an idea of premeditated matches in their minds. There was a general idea of who may match together. However, they were free to make the connections that they made at their own time and pace. Kind of like a yes, but still a free-for-all. I knew it. Let's talk about the architecture / culture. I mean, all of it's culture, I guess, but let's talk about the architecture side of it. Did you notice that cast often sent mail to each other through the tiny box in the wall? That comes from the culture of confessing one's love, and it's typically done in school, you know, junior high school to high school times, and they'd slip the letter into their little cubby hole. I mean, some schools have lockers and some schools have cubby holes, but anyways, that's where they put the letter, and that's where that whole culture of confessing your love comes from, and that's why they decided to add that addition into the pods. A member of staff would take the letter in the gap in between and take it to the other side and put it in their box. Editing magic. Beautiful traditional touch that I loved was the walking bridge when they finally got to meet each other. That's quite romantic in any culture. We see it in movies portrayed a lot. People run to each other on the bridge or say, this is my meeting spot on the bridge, especially in Asian dramas, I feel. And Asian culture, the bridge is just symbolic of meeting your loved one. You can find these bridges dotted all over Japan. I love these bridges. I think it just really gives you a sense of Japan. Beautiful touch. Let's move on to the pod. So the pod itself was actually based off the original version, but with a Japanese twist. The central feature to the room was the moon. And the reason for this was because it's actually a Japanese metaphor. A famous writer in Japan, Natsume Soseki, he's the guy on the 1,000 yen note. Did you not know that? Oh my god, well now you know. He once overheard a student translating I love you rather awkwardly into his literal and direct translation, Ware kimi wo aisu. By the way, it has nothing to do with the anime, guys. Soseki believed, as a product of his time and culture in the Meiji period, that this direct translation rejected Japanese sensibility. To reflect the time and the culture of the Meiji period, he opted for a more subtle, nuanced translation of the moon is beautiful. Now you know. I was wondering on how they configure the meetings. How did they not bump into each other? Well, they were actually separated. If you look back to the footage of the pods, there's actually a gap, a space in between, so they can't hear each other. The male area and the female area, which are totally separated by space. The walls do not touch. It's editing magic that makes them look like they're actually talking to each other, like almost face to face with just a thin wall between, but that's not true. They actually had earpieces to communicate with each other because the walls were soundproof and far apart. So there you go. Something else I also noticed is that in some of the scenes and shots, you can see other cast members that have previously been engaged in there, and I couldn't understand. Oh, it must have been edited for narrative purposes, which is true. Narratives were shifted around to make it more linear, I guess, and concise, and they were made to wait until the final 10 days were up, and then they were allowed to finally meet each other again face to face and spend time with each other. So they know that 10 days is their limit before they go on to the next stage. The way that the process works is that the cast will narrow down who they want to see each time. It's essentially speed dating. So day by day they get to know each other, make their notes, they'd request to see the people that they like on the list, and then they'd be allotted a certain time. There were 8 engagements, guys, so something worked well in the beginning. I've noticed there are a few cast members that didn't really get a lot of airtime. Were there successful proposals that weren't aired? Supposedly yes. The producers and editors decided not to show all relationships and all couples just for the sake of narrative, but if you do know, let me know in the comments down below. Let's talk about locations. The hotel's name is Hoshinoya, located in Okinawa, and it's about $342 per night, guys. And that is of March 22 when I checked it last. Can't imagine how much it's gonna be for the summer, probably like 500 and something dollars, which is a lot of money. But did you not see the big ass beds, the quality food, the location? Okinawa, hello. And that is the reason why. Oh, I also forgot to mention that most of the accommodations were covered by production staff. However, the dates were selected and funded by the cast members themselves. So was Priya correct to freak out about Mizuki's lavish spending on that wine? Motomi and Ryotaro's wedding location was Lake Ashi, a common tourist spot in Hakone, and Hakone is like an onsen town. And I actually had a kaiseki meal, which means like a set meal there, and it was quality, beautiful, delicious. My vlog here, and you can see what it's really like in that area where they got married. Oh, let's talk about Shuntaro, the dollar bill yo. Okay, is he rich? Yes, he is. Shuntaro's family owns that space that you saw in episode 10, Yamato Kuen, and you can visit it. Apparently that space is a dojo now, but I'm sure you can still visit the garden and the caves as we saw. Whilst reacting to this series, I did touch upon divorce, and divorce is shunned or looked down upon in the Japanese community. In Japan, it's kind of considered as taboo and it leaves a bad image. It's becoming more common now, I guess, in Japanese society, but it's still a very traditional place. However, for this experiment, a lot of consideration was made before casting, but marriage history and age, as we know, wasn't the main reason. Did staff know about Shuntaro wanting to break it off with Ayano? Were they alerted beforehand? The answer is no. They don't know the reactions, they don't know when things are gonna happen. It just happens as it happens, guys. That was their decisions. Can't say I blame them. They were doomed from the start. Did the couples have any input on the wedding decor and location, or was it all coordinated by the team? Apparently they were mostly in charge of the wedding and who to invite. I was really hoping for a traditional Japanese wedding. However, 80% of weddings are Western in Japan. Bet you didn't know that, right? Yes. But if you do get to see a Japanese wedding and where they promenade around the temple or shrine, beautiful and traditional, take it in. Because it's rare, okay? 20% rare. People may have been left a little bit confused after watching Midori's comment on getting officially married in the last episode. They were officially married. I think the reason she said that is because the process of filing paperwork is a long process in Japan. Usually when people get married in the Western world, or at least in the UK, you sign paperwork immediately after you say the vows, and that is your certification of marriage. But in Japan, the process is a lot longer. Why weren't the couples at each other's weddings? That's because, guys, they happened on the same day. Actually, Ryotaro and Motomi's wedding happened first. Fun fact, Midori and Wataru actually officially got married on her birthday, March 19th. Oh, how sweet. A lot of people were commenting down below. Yes, Priyanka was Miss Japan in 2016. I think the reason why this wasn't mentioned was to just avoid bias and for her to not latch onto that identity and for people to not get the wrong idea thinking that she's coming on here to expose herself for fame. People are still gonna think that after they find out she's Miss Japan. I still like Priya. Midori, Wataru and Priya are all fluent in English. I loved watching them switch between English and Japanese in their daily conversation. Let me give you some tea. Midori said that most of the contestants lost weight during the pod period due to stress that they were under. Woo. Midori and Wataru were each other's last pod date during the first day, but at the time they were too tired, so they didn't really make a connection. It took Wataru 7 to 8 days to propose. He was taking his sweet old time, but he proposed. Their signs are Leo and Pisces. I'm a Pisces too, so I felt that energy there. And you're emotional, bitch, so I feel you, girl. And I'm a Leo rising as well, so they had a small argument after watching the show together, which they watched at the same time as everybody else. They brushed it off though, so everything is fine. Yikes, I could imagine watching that scene back like,
I look like a complete bitch.
Don't kiss me tonight.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that about your face.
girl, you did him dirty. I'm glad that they forgave each other. Apparently Midori agreed that Wataru was taking his sweet old time in the pods and she was the one chasing him, and then she ended up being the one being chased by Wataru when they got out of the pods. But I think that's due to looks. If he was like perfection that she wanted, they would have been married in episode freaking 3. Do you know what I mean? Kaoru's father, so she did mention how she had a traumatic experience with her estranged father who she doesn't have any connections with at the moment. The story behind that is he was a famous singer. His name is Ryo Asuka and he's part of a duo called Chage and Asuka. They're a popular pop duo in the 90s. He got busted for drug possession in 2014 And again, he ratted himself out somehow in 2016. He made a very bizarre phone call saying that he was being stalked, he was paranoid. They brought him into the station. The phone call was so bizarre that they tested his urine and it was positive for drugs again. So we got busted again. So double trauma for that poor girl. Haru does love Africa too. She does a lot of campaigns and work for raising funds for Africa. So yes, she does love Africa too. Probably just as much as Misaki, but that was not enough to keep them together. Minami thought she was portrayed in a negative light. To be honest, who wasn't, girl? Who wasn't? You're probably lovely. You're probably all lovely except for Ayano. Oh, speaking of Ayano. I'm sorry guys, I am so biased. I don't know why, but apparently I wasn't the only one that felt her off vibes and thought that she wasn't an authentic character. I actually thought she had no character. She wasn't portrayed well on this show, and I won't hold that against her because editing magic. Why was Ryotara's hair such a big deal? I already mentioned this to you guys, but it's associated with rebels, the Yakuza, Yankees, delinquency, gang affiliation, rude, rebellious. In Japan. It's just not typical in Japanese society. I know we see them in anime and stuff, but in real life, majority of people have dark brown hair or black hair. That is the populace here. I'm a Westerner, so I think it's daft, but like in Japan, you can be seen that way by the old-minded people. People these days are becoming more accepting. However, you know, Motomi isn't that old and she was still feeling a way about his hair colour, so... Odachi and Nanako are not together, but still doing well. They seem pretty happy. Mori and Minami did not end up together, guys. We all know this, but they seem pretty well. Yudai and Nana, oh, Yudai's still a cutie. Nana, you're still looking cute, girl. Mizuki and Priya. Priya seems to be doing well in the working world. And Mizuki, I really want to visit his restaurant eventually, guys. So let me know where that is. Misaki and Kaoru, not together either. Here's hoping that she can break through into the music world. And Misaki is still in Japan. Why are you still here, boy? Don't you love Kenya? Shuntaro and Ayano are still happy and alive. Shuntaro showing all of his food pictures. Wataru and Midori, look at those pictures, they're so cute. Ryotaro and Motomi talks about Motomi and Ryotaro having a YouTube channel, so I'm waiting for that to launch. But thankfully, both couples are lasting, going strong. And that is everybody, guys. I will put everybody's social media links down below so you can go and take a little nosy for yourself. I've busted those myths right down, haven't I? I'm giving you a little bit of inside details to what everybody's getting up to and behind the scenes. So hopefully you've enjoyed it. And if you do like my YouTube channel, please join the crew and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram because that acts as a second channel over there. Comment and share with other people who may be interested in Love is Blind Japan. And if you haven't already, what are you doing? Head over to my playlist, guys. You can find it here. I'll link it here, link it everywhere. Come and react with me and see what it's all about. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, faito, gambate, peace and love. Bye!